Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope everyone is doing amazing. Welcome back to my YouTube. Welcome back to this daily market outlook for today. It is the 27th of July, and this is your daily market analysis. So let's jump straight into it. But as always, before we do get into the charts, understand that the content on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in my videos should be considered financial, investment, or trading advice. Trading and investing involves risk, and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. Any past performances discussed by myself does not guarantee future results. You are responsible, as always, for your own financial decisions. So let's jump into the charts. I do apologize for the late upload. It is currently in the UK, 20 to 7, so it is a late upload. I am back here until Wednesday, just seeing family, but also sorting some of my wedding stuff out. So hence the slow reply. I do apologize, but hopefully you guys understand the reason for it. So let's have a look at what's going on in regards to the dollar. So first thing we can see that's happened today was exactly what we talked about, this daily demand. And we talked about this last week. As you can see, we obviously had this engulfing candle, institutional candle on this daily, which was Thursday. Friday come in, but it didn't tap into this daily demand. We obviously left that low, which basically means we left liquidity. Now, with that, you can see coming into today, market has obviously come down, tapped in and mitigated that demand area, took out this low, Friday's low, and now it seems like it's going to be carrying up. So what I'm expecting from a daily perspective is market to break these highs and then at this moment in time just carry on upwards unless this structure here changes. So pretty simple and easy to understand. If I drop down to the 4 hour, can we see anything different? Well, currently we can't see anything that tells us otherwise. We can see the structure of the internal, which is the same as the daily, is extremely bullish here. You can see that we have this demand. Ideally, I did want to see this 4 hour demand area met here just because this low we could use as a liquidity, and we have a tiny bit of imbalance. If I just zoom in, you could probably see it precisely, a tiny bit of imbalance below. But as you can see, that's the start of the imbalance there, and that's exactly where market has came back to so far. So I don't think the market's going to come back and do anything or mitigate anything lower. I think we're just going to get this bullishness just to carry on. Truthfully, the supply area from here, as you guys can see, was from last week's, which you can see held. We consolidated and then we had a trade away from. So great analysis that I gave out last week. Hopefully, some of you guys caught that. If you guys are not sure what I'm talking about, go and watch last week's daily market outlooks and you'll know exactly what I am talking about. So, bullishness to carry on. This is our 4 hour higher low, this is our 4 hour higher high. At this moment in time, if the market came back down, we would have this area as our next 4 hour demand area. And as you guys can see, we have a lot of imbalance above there as well. So I think eventually, I'm just going to do yellow. I think eventually we'll come down into these areas eventually, and then obviously carry on from here. That could be tomorrow, or it could be by the end of next week. But let's see how that plays out. So pretty simple, pretty easy to understand. Going into your USD, absolutely beautiful analysis from this area last week and also this area, which I gave out last week as well. You can currently see at this moment in time, we have done around 50 pips almost, 49.5 pips from this supply area. Hopefully some of you guys caught this as well. But as you guys can currently see, let's have a look at the daily. Just quickly, we have that daily supply area. And you guys can see that we obviously broke away from here. When we had this institutional candle on Thursday, which obviously told us that market could carry on. You can see Fridays did mitigate this supply, and then we had this large wick. But then going into today, we've obviously came even more deeper into that daily supply, and the reason for that was because this was the Thursday high that we left. Market obviously moved away. Then coming into today, Sunday market open, we've come and taken this high, filled in the rest of this imbalance, tapped into that supply area, and obviously now melted away. So pretty much the same scenario. What I'd be waiting for in regards to the next move would be, I do think eventually market may come back to this 4 hour supply area here. It's the same as the dollar. We also have this area as imbalance to fill, and then we have this high. So what could happen is we could obviously just start messing around, even going a bit lower, and then eventually we might come into this supply and then get that true move away. So definitely keep an eye out on that for this week with your USD. The Great British Pound USD, we didn't quite get that retracement that we wanted, as you guys can see. Let's just have a look at the daily though. We did obviously mitigate that supply area on the daily perfectly, which we discussed last week as well. And it's pretty much the same scenario. We had this, institutional candle. Obviously then we had the Friday candle, which didn't tap into this supply. So Sunday market opens done the exact same, come into this supply, mitigated it, took out this high and filled in the tiny imbalance. If you look, we left that imbalance from Friday. That imbalance there. Remember, market's looking to always seek liquidity, which is the imbalances, and sorry, seek liquidity, which is the highs, highs of different candles and lows of different candles, and also rebalance itself, which is exactly what it's done here. So we've obviously come into here. Now we've reached into this demand. Now, do we have a supply area which we are coming into? Well, we have this previous supply. So again, this is a valid supply area, but this internal is bullish, and that's why for me, I'm going to be focusing on this, unless the dollar obviously has, a change of trend and it looks like it's going to obviously melt off. I'm not interested in obviously doing any longs from here for the long term. Hopefully that makes sense. Going into the 4 hour, you can see it's not really give us that retracement that we would like with G, which is unlike GU, to be fair. Usually, as you can see, GU is pretty clean with the demand areas and supply areas, but we just haven't had that. Now, if I go to the 8 hour, I always like to either double the time frames. You can see that where we consolidated here, if you look, let me just put this on. Where we consolidated here, these two candles is obviously where market has come back into. Ideally, not going to come here and say this is what I would have done, because I'm the same as probably you guys who are inside of my course. I'm the exact same. I obviously focus on, the zones that I have. Ideally, that is the 4 hour supply. But we obviously had the start of this imbalance here, which we could have marked out, but I just didn't. Because I thought with the imbalance above, same with the dollar, I thought we would have come in a little bit lower, but we haven't had that. So you can see this whole consolidation area, this little pullback before market moved away, is exactly where the market has come back into. And then obviously got this move away. Now, same again, I don't like this at this moment in time. So for me personally, I am just going to be looking at doubling this up. So I'm going to go to the 8 hour time frame, and I'm going to just mark out this 8 hour candle here as my 4 hour supply. Now I'm going to jump back down to the 4. And then as you can see, that's giving me my area. Now, if you want to, you can obviously probably go from the start of this imbalance as your supply to try and refine it. But I think eventually we will end up coming back into the supply. It just depends on, are we going to get, market coming just to here and going? Or are we going to get market to come deeper, fill in the imbalance that we left, let me turn this off, fill in the imbalance that we left here, tap into the extreme level of the supply here, and then go light. So it just depends on what is going to happen. Are we going to come deeper or are we not? So hopefully that makes sense. NZUSD just missed out on this supply area that we talked about last week. Again, yes, this is a whole supply area because it's consolidated. So I could have gone to this supply, but the market usually likes to fill in the whole of the imbalances. So again, we just missed out on this area. So at this moment in time, could we still come into this area? Well, yes, of course. Or we could come into this supply area here. So either way, these are the supply areas, and again, we're probably most likely going to have a retracement to either this or have a retracement to this supply area that hasn't been touched and take out the imbalance that is left and take out this high. Now, again, this also depends on where the market is at with the dollar. So if the dollar's in this demand and obviously AU is in sorry, NU is in this supply, it could be a potential to just short from here, or it could be that the market's in this supply when the dollar is in this demand. So pretty easy to understand. Hopefully you guys do get what I'm saying. Going into AUD USD, it's been ugly. I don't like AUD USD at all, as you guys should know by now, especially in 2026. It's just not been nice. Even though I can call out areas, it's just really not nice. The one thing I can obviously talk about is the fact that I will go to the daily just quickly, but you can see that this is the 4 hour range since the market broke. Let me just have a look at the daily quick. You can see we're in this daily supply because we reacted from here, so that's valid. But if you go to the 4, you can see that we obviously had market bullish, and then we failed to go and break high, and then we had this movement down. Yes, we didn't break this low, but this is a valid, area of a valid range, and that's why markets come into this supply and started to move away. So I'm not going to discuss much more. I want to see some more movement in regards to AU. Let's say we get a bigger break, and then we can look for the supply. So hopefully by tomorrow, when I do my next daily market outlook, you'll be able to see that. Now, USD CAD. Again, hasn't been the best, just being totally honest. Let me just remove all of this. Last week, we obviously discussed, it wasn't the absolute cleanest setups. I wanted to see more movement with inside of USD CAD. But again, we are now getting that. So that is always a positive sign. Again, we didn't reach this demand area. We haven't reached it. We left at equal lows. So that was obviously something that we were looking for. Now market is obviously moving away. We're about to reach this supply area. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a move from the supply, if the dollar moves from this supply again as well. So keep an eye out on the supply area to see how market reacts. But at this moment in time, the 4 hour is bullish. It is extremely bullish. I'm just going to remove this just for the noise, so it looks a little bit cleaner. And as you can see, we obviously had this 1 hour demand area. Let me just quickly show you that we talked about last week, which stuck. You can see market obviously moved away. Market came back, took out these lows, and then got that move away again. So looking at the 4, all I'm expecting is potentially, if it was to come to a deeper retracement, it would be to this area of 4 hour demand, which is here. We have this imbalance above. So if market does come into the lower parts, then that's exactly where I want to see market retrace to. And then we can obviously move away from these areas. So let's keep an eye on that. Again, it's obviously very bullish. If the dollar does the same, when a dollar gets into this demand, that's when I'll be looking to see where USD CAD is at. Hopefully, it's in this demand as well. USD CHF, absolutely spot on. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful analysis. As you can see, currently done a 52.7 pip move from this demand area that we discussed last week. Analysis spot on. We had this imbalance just below this wick. We have this demand area here, the last candle before this market moved up, and that's exactly where market came back into, and then obviously had this bullishness up now. So beautiful trade. Hopefully some of you guys did catch it. USD CHF has been pretty nice from this demand area last week. Now this demand area, we just missed out on this one. So it has been a nice pair to trade at this moment in time. We do have now this area of demand to keep an eye on. We have a lot of imbalance to fill. So I am thinking that eventually market will give us a retracement. We can see how market reacts from here and then potentially go and get that next long just like this with this demand. Rinse and repeat. Look, market moves away, we leave imbalance, 2 large candles, we consolidate, get people into buys, get people making mistakes, then market will obviously end up doing the whole manipulation, coming into the demand, and then doing a move again. So definitely keep an eye out on that as well for this week. USD Japanese yen. I've been waiting for USD Japanese yen to come into this demand. We haven't had that. It has reacted from this little trap area here. As you can see, if I go to the one, I'll probably be able to see a 1 hour demand area pretty much. Yeah, you can see that's where market consolidated, started the imbalance, and obviously that's where it moves away. But for me, this was the favorable area that I was keeping an eye on. You can see we had a large wick finish, body of the candles smaller than the wick. Then we had this engulfing candle. Where did market come back into? Market dipped, filled in this imbalance, as you can see, where it started here. And now it's gone long again. So ideally, what I'm going to wait for is I want to see another candle closure above this. If we can get, let's say the candle closure above this, we then can have this area as our next 4 hour demand area. So again, that's us predicting the future. So let's not get too focused on that at this moment in time. But that is your daily market outlook for today, guys. I appreciate every single person. I apologize, it is late and late upload, but hopefully some of you guys understand I've got a wedding in 9 weeks and I am busy. So I do apologize. But again, we're here, we're putting it up, and I got it done. So hopefully you guys appreciate it. But other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and God bless.